look back in hindsight, everything is 2020. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, yesterday and your tomorrow. In hindsight, is so much clearer now.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by life's demands, struggling to find joy and fulfillment despite your achievements? Today on Hindsight the Podcast, I dive into the transformative journey of Tracey Vaccarino, a remarkable individual who emerged from the depths of personal struggle to guide others toward a life of purpose and abundance. Tracey's story is one of resilience and reinvention as she navigated through chronic migraines and toxic marriage to discover the path to lasting happiness. Now she's on a mission to help high achievers find true fulfillment and success, not just in their careers, but in every aspect of their lives. So join us as we explore the power of dropping out of the mind and living in a state of higher awareness, and how embracing our true selves can unlock the world of ease, connection, and prosperity. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Lee. Thank you. I am doing amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a wonderful morning. Absolutely. So tell me, I gave you a little introduction. I'm sure I left out tons. But really quick, before we get started, just where are you calling from? That's one. And then two, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm calling right outside of New York City in a town called Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Okay.
I've been living here for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit about me, I was a trained interior architect. That was my profession. And then going through transformative experiences within my marriage, and then, the dissolution of that, and coming to terms with who am I being, I shifted into being a coach for people who are fulfilled, seemingly fulfilled, but they feel like something's missing.
Awesome. So what is a interior architect do? And I asked this question, and I'll give you a little bit about me. Before I joined the Army, I was a drafter. So I did electrical, structural. I was actually how to do electrical, but electrical, structural, and architectural drafting. So what does an interior do? And I think I know the answer, but it's been some years now.
Basically, it's all that. It's all that an architect would do, except for the interior. So you're doing the floor plans, you're placing all of the electrical, you're picking out all the materials, finishes, the lighting plan. It's all of that, but it's primarily for the interior. You're not doing anything structural.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to jump right into it really quick.
Oh.
How did you personally experience the shift from living in the mind to embracing higher awareness? Just jump right in.
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So, most of us are running around living in our mind, and just, we're not even present, we're not here. So I started meditating, and I went to do a week-long retreat, which you're just, people are like, oh, you're going on vacation. No, constantly doing this, and you're just shutting down. So that week-long retreat, during that, I started having, while I was in meditation, I started having these visions, like these images come in. And I was just like, this is, wow, like what's going on here? Am I hallucinating? Like I don't do drugs. I don't even drink. Like what's happening here? So I was like, all right, there's something to this. The more I kept meditating, the more I kept getting into this state of awareness or consciousness, where I was just kind of like, I dropped the identity, the persona of who I was, and I just became like nothing. And I kept having these experiences. I also learned how to do breath work, but not just like a box breathing breath work, or it's just this conscious breath where you're just breathing. Yeah. And it put me into this altered state. And when I say altered state, it's like you literally just feel that you're connected to everything. Okay. You realize yourself as more than just this human body having a human existence. So that's what happened. And then I shifted into this, what you would call like having a spiritual awakening, where it kind of like flipped everything upside down to as I perceive life, as I perceive myself, as I perceive the obstacles that I encounter in my life.
So now you made it sound so easy. One day you just started meditating, relax, and
Boy.
then you started seeing and hearing and being more aware. How do you, when you're meditating, how do you get into that state? Like, how do you shut everything out and,
Mm,
leave who you are to become nothingness?
yeah. So it really was from being immersed in it and dedicating, like really devoting myself to doing it every day and
Hmm.
doing guided meditations, because at first I couldn't get into that state. And the more that you do it, you're training your mind. You're training your
Mm-hmm.
mind to be quiet. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of people struggle with it. I had tried to do it years and years ago and I couldn't. But guided meditations help. And it, yeah, I'm leaving out the parts about, yeah, I'm leaving out the frustration and the parts about because meditation is just a tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the be all end all. Like anything is just a tool to
Absolutely.
bring you back to the essence of who you really are, and not this persona that you perceive yourself to be with all of the baggage and projection from the past. So having that realization, like coming to terms with, well, this is, I'm Tracey, I'm a mom, I have 2 sons, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yes, but no.
Right.
That is not really the core essence of who I am. And when you start to slow off and shed that identity, all of these, what people would call triggers, come up.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you're holding within you, if you are judgmental, that comes up. If you have a lack or scarcity around anything, or around money, woo, that'll,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's coming up, but it's coming up for you to recognize that it's a wild illusion that your mind has created.
Yeah.
All of the things like feeling safety. Safety is like the most fundamental, right? That's where the issues around money and even in relationships and health, it's all about, we have this foundational need to feel safe. So yes, meditation was for me to recognize myself as more than just this self.
I love it. So what led you to start meditating in the first place?
Well, that's fun. That's a fun story. So I was
I
in
know.
a very emotionally and financially abusive marriage, which at the time I didn't know. It's like that story of the frog being in a pot of water and they don't realize until it's so hot. And then after that, I went into a relationship that mirrored back all of the ways that I was self-sabotaging, not loving myself, giving myself away, that people pleaser, that was me. So I was like, all right, I'm the common denominator. What's going on? Like, what's going on? Why am I attracting all of this into my circumstances? That was the catalyst.
Okay.
And it took a long time. Like, I was in a marriage for 16 years before I decided to go ahead and get out of it.
Yeah.
So some people need that. Like, some people need like a big, you gotta go. And then the migraines too. So that was the catalyst. Yeah.
So the migraines, how long did that last? And did the meditation and just, taking a different approach to life, did that help with the migraines at all?
For sure. I had chronic migraines, like say like 3 times a week, where I was like laid out vomiting. Like, it was intense, maybe for about 6 years before I really got the help I needed. And acupuncture was the thing that took it away for me. Yeah, I did acupuncture for like 3 or 4 weeks, like 3 times a week for like 4 weeks. But then changing my circumstances, changing my life, meditating, it was a whole shift out of this personality or this way that I had been being, where I was really sacrificing my soul. Like, I wasn't living into my truth. And so that's what came up. It's like, hey, we need to get your attention here. Look what you're doing.
Yeah. So you focus a lot on being in the moment, in the present, in our natural state.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be in the present, in our natural state?
Yeah.
And how does it impact decision making and problem solving? Because you talked about, making decisions to get you in certain situations, right? And I believe meditating and the things that you're doing now kind of helped you navigate and make better decisions and solve problems easier, right? So, and I'll restate it because I'd say too many words, but what does it mean to be in the present, in our natural state, and how does that impact decision making and problem solving?
So if you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
right now, like this moment is the only thing that is available to us. It's the only thing that exists. Can't go back to the past. Present is here. Future hasn't happened yet. So if you are constantly calling back something in the past, you're just going to keep bringing that past forward with you and living in that. And that's why so many people get stuck. Same though, if you're projecting into the future, you never get there. It's like you're chasing the carrot. And then you're not really ever living because you're not really here. You're not present. You know, you and I are having this conversation. We're here, we're present.
Right.
But so many people are not. They're scrolling on their phone, or they're engaged in 3 different other things. There's no such thing as multitasking. It's like you're doing one thing at a time and you're focused.
Right.
So when you are in that present state, you're not making choices from your mind that's logical. You're making gut decisions, intuitive choices, and that's your connection with whatever you want to call it, higher power or consciousness. But that's what's guiding you into making these decisions that are for your greatest benefit, instead of the logic of the mind that comes in and tries to say, no, that doesn't make sense. You should do this, and this. So something that could take weeks to accomplish could end up taking years because you're in your mind trying to figure it out, where the answer is right here if you could just get quiet and see it.
Yeah. So that's a good one. I appreciate that. Could you share an example of a time when you found easy access to solutions by being in the present moment?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Being humans and living on this planet and having this experience, we are constantly being bombarded with messages, right? All over. But there are messages for us and different solutions to problems if we're aware. If we're just like going through the day and we're not present, we're going to miss a lot of information. So just look at it as your reality, your circumstances are mirroring back to you everything that you feel about yourself. And now the trick is it's like you can't clean the mirror and expect something to change within you. You have to change within you. So in finding, so that's what most people are focused on. They want to change the outside. You know, I know what to do. I need to like get my income level up to here. So I'm just going to go from this job to this job. Oh, but that's a lateral move. That's weird. I didn't really increase. Why is that? You know, I'm capping out because there's something within you that either doesn't feel safe with having more money, or, you know, was like something that was conditioned into you as a child about having money, not having money, money being evil, right?
Right.
All of these stories. So when you're being present, when you're like really tapped into your intuition, you'll see the solution. You'll have an experience. So like, I'll give you an example. When I was starting my own interior design business and I was starting to like really get into, instead of being in the mind and thinking of all the different ways this couldn't work or how long it was going to take to get it started, I was just like, no, we're going full steam ahead. I'm just doing this. And that was the presence that I had. And then it was synchronistically, you'll see synchronicities and things pop up when you're being present. I had someone reach out to me like right away, like a week after like going online with the website, and they hired me for all of these projects. I didn't advertise. I didn't do anything, but I was having this strong feeling like this is what I needed to do. And then I just stayed in the present, moved forward. Once you start getting into the logical mind, that's what's going to throw wrenches into things, you know? I'm sure you've had these experiences too, like even starting your podcast, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, you just sometimes you gotta jump in, right? And to your point, if you stay in your mind a little too long, you'll stay in your mind a little too long, right? So you need to just jump into action. I appreciate that example because you mentioned a few things in there, and I love movies, and I probably shouldn't watch so many movies, but I absolutely love them. And you were saying how messages continually come to you, right? If you're not paying attention. And it reminded me of this sci-fi movie, and I can't remember the name. I know Roddy Piper. He was a star in it. And it's sci-fi, okay? So bear with me. But it was an antenna that was sending messages from an alien species that was really keeping the human race in compliance, right? And you didn't see what the messaging was unless you put these glasses on, and it was like, be submissive, listen, all of these different things, right? So being aware is absolutely important, right, of all of these messaging, and then be aware of yourself, right, who you need to be, and don't change the mirror but change yourself. So excellent points. I appreciate that. Now, unless you got something, because now I'm going to tap into your it looks like you're going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I want to know what movie that is now.
I can't think of it. Hey, but check this out. I will email you and let you know what it is, because it's pretty interesting. It's an older sci-fi movie, but I absolutely loved it at the time. Probably came out in the 90s. So it was really good though. But how can individuals cultivate a deeper connection with themselves to tap into this state of ease and access to this higher state?
Yeah, it's going to sound maybe too simplistic for people, but it's literally just being. So like removing yourself from distractions, even if you could just like do it for an hour a day, meaning no phone, not having a TV or computer, and just like going outside and just like sitting. And people will say, oh no, I have too much to do. Like, really? Like, this is even more for you. Because if you can't take the time, then you're literally just in your head all day. And sometimes, when I'm coaching people, I have them set an alarm on their phones so that every hour they're kind of like, okay, like I'm back, to pull them out of whatever they were doing and be present again. I find that when I work with people, meditation, yes, but sometimes that's difficult for people to get into that state. Doing breath work. Breath work, breathing, it takes you right out of the mind and right into focus. So in the beginning, just to start being aware of everything you're doing, like literally, like I'm picking up a marker, like being so hyper-focused and aware, because that's going to shut down the mind. You're going to be so in the present moment. And it takes discipline because you're so used to your mind going like this and you going down these roads.
Yeah.
So the thoughts will come up, but you don't have to grab onto them. You just let them go past you and just keep being present. And you will see how things really start to shift. You'll also see the circumstances in your life and what's triggering you, how certain comments that people make are bringing stuff up in you. You'll be able to really notice your body and how your body is reacting. Yeah. How if it's feeling nervous, if you start to sweat, with different things that come up. And that's the conditioning. Like you can see where you've been conditioned and what needs to be moved out.
I remember I don't know if I was with a therapist or if it was some sort of training, but I remember one of the key things is to be mindful of your breathing, to your point. Understand when you're starting to breathe a little heavier or you start to get a little hot, on the inside, because now you're becoming emotionally triggered, right, by some things. And understanding that helps you to make good decisions in that moment, right? So breathing, one, I'm just saying I agree with you. And then two, I think I'm absolutely going to set a 1 hour alarm. I don't know all the intricacies of what you tell your clients. Maybe you'll tell me later. But just being in the moment. I know when I walk my dog, I walk him every morning. And I try to get into the moment. I try to appreciate the smell, the sky, the trees, the birds. I love the birds. They wake me up in the morning. But then there's always something that just pulls me right back into the world. You know what I mean? So just me having the discipline in the discipline to really just settle in and take some time to allocate like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to just be nothing, right? I need to definitely have the discipline to do that. So what other tips or what string or what thread am I going to need to kind of pull this all together and be able to find success in being in the moment?
Well, it really comes down to, do you want to fully realize your potential and who you really are? Or do you want to be dragged around by a mind and be in service to your mind? You know what they say about the mind makes a great servant, but not a great master. You're the master of your mind. You're the master of your world. And then when you are unaffected by what's going on out there, that's when you really tap into a whole new world. Like, you rise up to a different level in every way.
Right.
And the reality shifts. So, this is for people who are having, like, they know that there's more. They know that there's more to life. They know, but they're still stuck in this way of being. And it's because of the mind. It's because you're in your mind, and it's the conditioning that we've all gone through, the programming that we've all gone through. It keeps us in this loop.
Yeah.
And it's not until we can really get quiet that we can start to break through it.
All right, we're all programmed. We need to shut ourselves down and we need to reboot. All right, I love it. So really quick, in what ways can being in the present moment enhance relationships, both personal and professional?
Oh, boy. Well, if you're here in the present, you're not recalling something that someone did yesterday or last week. Like I said, you're dragging the past into the present. You're taking all the baggage with you. And when you're fully present with someone, it's like you're connecting soul to soul. You're just being.
Right.
You're not really seeing a human as much as you're seeing the soul, that divine spark that's within all of us, right? And you're having a different relationship. You're not focused on what has to take place here now. And they can feel it, by the way. Like, when you're like so present and focused with someone, it's a different experience than when you're speaking with somebody and their mind's going all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it also fosters trust and just a better level of communication.
That's, I get something came to me. You said being in a moment in relationships in the States. In the United States, it's a little different, right? Because we all, personal space and stuff like that. And I recall a few times going overseas, either, different places. It's sometimes different. Like, there's an engagement in a conversation. There's no boundaries. Usually someone's right in your face and you're having a conversation, right? And it feels weird because I'm from here, but then it feels good because I know that they're hearing what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Now, I know we can't, recommend that because, here, but the whole part about being in the moment is something that I work on personally myself, right? Because you want to be in the moment, you want to hear it, but at the same time, as far as in a conversation with people, you're thinking about your response a lot of times instead of hearing, what the person is saying. So it's still a challenge. It's still a challenge, but I try to put the phone away. I can do those things. Now it's time to reboot the brain so that I'm allowing all of this, data from or input from whoever I'm talking to come through more freely. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I feel like the more that you are present, and you trust and you let go, then you'll just see, oh, this is, it's all good. Right. But I get it. I get that feeling of wanting to be prepared and have all your ducks in a row. And
And then the other thing about bringing stuff from the past, one of the things that I try to tell my team is hear the message, right? You could have had an argument or a debate with a coworker last week. And so now you're still in that moment from last week instead of being in the present like we're talking about today. Try to weed all of that negative out and just hear the message that's coming. I need to first hear the message, right, before I put my emotional energy back into it. So sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it really deserves your emotional energy, but a lot of times it doesn't, right? Because you're holding on to things from the past or you're conjuring up things in the future. Right.
That's
So
a good
I
point.
love the being in the moment.
Yeah, because that's what those triggers are. They're just stuff that you're holding on to that's not you, has nothing to do with you,
Yeah.
but it's something that you learned. And so it's a great realization, where you can look at that and say, huh, why did
Mm-hmm.
that bother me? Like specifically, what does that mean? What do I have to believe about myself for that comment to have bothered me?
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So how can individuals strike a balance between taking proactive steps towards their goals and just allowing life to unfold naturally?
That is the key, that is the key. So I find that the more you are present, the
Mm-hmm.
more things kind of do come to you, and you do have an intuitive gut feeling to say, okay, I'm going to do this now in the moment. And this feels good. I don't feel like I have to force it. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing that, then no. I don't feel like it's a should or something I have to do or something that I'm seeing on Instagram, so I have to follow along with it. No,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all just beliefs. That's just all what someone else believes. So it's really coming back to you and getting in touch with what you feel like needs to be done and really trusting that. But if you're in your head, your
Yeah.
mind's going to start weaving this. So it's really like feeling what's going to bring me some happiness right now? Like what's going to feel good
Mm-hmm.
right now, and keep moving along with that.
Right.
Because when we start falling into, the we have to and we should and we must,
Mm-hmm.
that's just all
Yeah.
nothing. It's just beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is striking a balance. You are striking a balance with that, and like going off of your intuition in any moment. Like I might have, which would seem to be counterproductive. Like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a nap. Where somebody might be like, oh my gosh, how could you take a nap?
Mm.
I'm doing this, and this. But the more that you're out of that monkey mind, the more
Mm-hmm.
that you're out of that busyness,
Yeah.
that's when you make the right choices, because you're
Yeah.
not making it out of a lack mentality. You're not
Mm-hmm.
making it out of, that fear. Because if you're making a decision or a choice out of that, then what's it going to produce? You're
Yeah.
just keeping that going.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep rapid fire with you.
Okay.
What role does trust play in allowing for the natural unfolding of life, especially during those challenging times?
So I feel like without trust,
Mm-hmm.
you are living in the controlled way, the conditioned way, the fearful way. You're living from a foundation that's not real, because from the fear of, what if,
Mm-hmm.
making choices from that place, it's a fear state. And fear
Mm.
is not real.
Yeah.
People say, no, just be afraid and do it anyway. No, fear is not real. It's not even anything. It's literally nothing.
Right.
So getting out of that headspace and into, I'm made of, I am whatever you believe, life force energy. I am a divine essence, a divine spark. Like,
Mm.
I think that I will be taken care of no matter what. And I have to trust that that is the truth. And not even trust, I have to know that
Yeah.
that is truth. There's no way that this overflowing, abundant earth that takes care of all of the animals, the humans are the only ones that don't have that same ability. But it's when we're in the state of fear
Mm.
that we start creating more situations to reflect that back to ourselves. When we
Right.
do just trust and surrender,
Yeah.
that's when things just start to flow. That's when synchronicities happen and opportunities come to us, and we don't have to do anything. It just
Mm.
happens, because we're in that, it's like that childlike state of when
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm-hmm.
a child and you are just allowing life to happen and to move and taking action, but it's
Right.
intuitive.
Right. Right. What do you think about control, like needing to be in control?
Yeah, that's definitely, it's all from conditioning. It's all
Yeah, yeah.
from, yeah, like
Same
when you
thing.
were a
Yeah.
child. Yeah, and the feeling that you're in, a chaotic situation, whatever you saw happen in front of you. My family moved around a lot, so that was like some chaos. And so that's why many people, definitely have a need to control and have everything planned out and have to be perfectionists. And it all
Mm-hmm.
comes from that conditioning that was learned.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
learned that because you can have siblings from the same family and some people are that way and some people aren't. It's just
Yeah.
how they took it on. So,
Yeah.
so that's something also, there's being practical and
Mm-hmm.
pragmatic, but
Mm-hmm.
then also just allowing things to fall into place. I'll give you a really little like fun example of something that recently happened with an airline ticket that I needed to purchase. And
Mm-hmm.
the particular place that I was going, the tickets are usually like $600 or $700. And I was just like, nope, I'm gonna get it for like a crazy low price. I just said, let me just have some fun and play. And
Yeah.
so I just like waited on that. And then one day I was just like, let me just check and see.
Yeah.
And Lee, it was literally like, it was 1/6 of the
Oh,
like normal
wow.
price, right? And so I was
Right.
like,
It just
yes!
hit
I
you.
just booked it. And that's just like one little fun thing. But
Right, right.
when you can really be quiet in that place and just have that trust, and
Yeah.
believe me, it's difficult. It's difficult at first because your mind wants to pull you back into no,
Yeah.
you have to plan, you have to control. But that's where we go wrong. That's,
Okay.
like we're being guided if we can just get quiet enough and trust enough to really see that.
Wow. That's interesting. That gives me a lot of thoughts on just that example, because a lot of times you do let go, right? So if you're like, just I have to buy this ticket, I have to do it and cross it off my list, right? Me, I'm the same way you are. Like I'm like, no, I'm going to wait. But the thing is, you heard internally, hey, let me something say go check right now, and
Yes,
you listened and you check right now and it's 1/8 or one, you said 1/8 the price, right?
1/6 the
one
price.
sixth the
Yeah.
price. Listening, right? We rarely listen. And we have intuition. We have a lot of things that we should be in sync with, but we're so
Yes.
dysfunctional as far as just anyway,
No, that's a
that's
great
your
point.
profession.
That's a great point because usually we
Yeah.
do feel a pull, but we
I,
don't listen to it. Yeah.
I do it a lot. I do it a lot. And so many times when I don't listen, in the result that you don't want to have happens. And I was
Yeah.
like, man, if I just would have listened, and it's simple stuff a lot of times. And some of the times those simple things are become major
Mhm.
problems or major
Mhm.
issues, right? If you just don't listen.
Yes.
So, okay. Do you have any examples when you were faced with a difficult decision? And
Yeah.
don't talk about buying the plane ticket.
No, the first thing that comes to mind
Hmm.
is being dissolving this marriage and being divorced and
Yeah.
moving out of that and moving to another state, moving
It's a
to another
lot.
town. And yeah, so these are all difficult decisions, and that your mind can kind of like the logical mind wants to come in and say, here, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Right.
But I had a gut feeling on, exactly where we were supposed to live. And it wasn't even like, I didn't even like research it. It just kind
Yeah.
of was like feeling like this, this, this. So even with starting my own business, and, I knew even before the pandemic that I wanted to be more with my children and work from home as much as I could. So
Hmm.
I had already like started doing that before it was a thing, because I just intuitively, I was like, no, like this isn't, no, like, why do I want to work 12
Right.
hours away from my house? For what?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, things that synchronistically happen, clients, like, having the intention that I want to have this type of a life, I
Yeah.
want to have these type of clients, and this is just how it's going to be. And then stepping into that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're saying these at a conscious level, this is what I want to have happen.
Yeah.
But your energy, the way of being isn't that, then it's not going to match up. Right. So I don't know if I answered the question.
That was good. No, you answered it. You gave a few examples in there of some difficult choices that you had to make. And you know, you just got to see where you're going. You gotta get out of fear, you know, all of the lessons that you have, because fear is fake, right? And you just got to make the decision that's right for you, right, in your life trajectory. So I go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you know, if you're having to come up with you know, if you have a big decision to make, anything within your business, within your family, relationships, if you're already like questioning it and having doubt about it, it's done. Like, use that. That's your intuition saying, like, no, you don't have to figure any more out. You're having a doubt, boom, it's a no, you know? Good.
Yeah, that's a great point and a great lesson that we should all hear. So maybe I'll have that as the Tracey short that I put on YouTube. Just remember that if you already have a doubt or something. So anyway, I'll put that on there. Hey, but Tracey, I asked you a lot of rapid fire questions. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share? Something that you're doing, or, you know, just anything?
I'd just like to share that, you know, when really I feel like the reason why we're here is just to know who we really are, and to unload all of the beliefs that we have about who we are, so that we can live loving ourselves, because so many people don't love themselves because they're holding on to a false image, like that was projected onto them. So that's what I really feel I'm here to do, to help people unlearn who they think they are. And that's what I offer in my courses. And it's online, but it's also one-to-one. And I really want to try and help people like get through that. But no, this is how I was taught to be, and I need to control it. I have to be perfect, and no. Yeah.
So where can the listeners reach out, or the watchers reach out and find out more about you?
The easiest place would be on my website, which is Tracey Vaccarino, or just email me at info@Tracey Vaccarino.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You got any new projects that are on the horizon?
I actually have something going on tonight, which is it's a live breathwork session where we talk about releasing all of these feelings, toxic patterns, feeling not good enough. And then we go ahead and do a breathwork session that actually releases it. I call it quantum breathwork because you're accessing higher consciousness, which is your subconscious. So you're like reprogramming and repatterning in that state.
How often do you do the breathing exercises?
Myself?
Quantum breathing. No, for your clients.
Oh, in the course I have, which is called the Soul Freedom Blueprint, it's 8 weeks. And so we go through it. And so every week we're doing this deep work. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk really quick, 30 seconds to a minute. Tell us about the Blueprint program that you offer.
Okay. So basically what it is you're dismantling the conditioning and programming that you've grown up with. Every horrible thing that you think about yourself or feel triggered by, you're releasing all of that. So we have different written exercises that are bringing up all the beliefs that you hold about yourself in love, in money, in what's possible for you. And then we're going through having these breathwork sessions where you're releasing these beliefs and emotions, and everything comes up and it's released, because the things that we feel in the moment, the emotions that we have felt, they get stored in the body, and that's what brings about different illnesses. The illness isn't from smoking a cigarette, it's from this emotion you have, and the cigarette just kind of like triggered it and catalyzed it.
Right.
So that's what we do. We're clearing emotion, we're clearing all of these feelings and thoughts that you have.
Sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. There are a lot of things that have control of us that we don't even know about. So going through this exercise sounds like it would be very beneficial to helping us to find ourselves, one, and then to make better choices to reach our goals and set better journeys. So a
Yeah.
huge thank you to Tracey, and I'm going to say it, Vaccarino,
Yes. Yes, please.
for sharing her incredible insights and journey with me today. By embracing higher awareness and allowing for the natural unfolding of life, Tracey has shown us that true fulfillment and success are within reach for anyone. And remember, your past doesn't define your future. You have the power to create the life you desire. Be sure to check out Tracey's work, including her transformative Soul Freedom Blueprint course. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and valuable insights on Hindsight the Podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. To make sure that you don't miss a single episode, why don't you just go ahead and subscribe? And also, I have a quick survey. It'll take you 1 to 3 minutes just so I can get a better understanding on how to get the best content to you. So here that is as well. Until next time, once again, thank you.